What's up, guys? I just wanted to give y'all a quick check here on the Camaro's engine. So there's the motor I was going to build, and that is just a 305, and I was going to go in my 84Z. It was a low mileage motor with a lot of problems, so I went straight to this 355, which means it's bored 30 thousandths over. This is a 1969 to 74 350 with the driver's side dipstick. So I didn't have, the guy I got this from, he didn't have an oil pan to go with it. So nothing. I ended up having to buy an oil pan, so I bought brand new. This is the timing cover off of the 84's 305. Got to replace the seal. It's still yet, but I just left it in there so no paint gets in there where it goes. Timing tab, masked it off right there. So keep it up with hardware. So I've got the main bolts here that hold the water pump on. I've got a brand new water pump that's already been painted this exact color. Let me show you the paint. It's a VHG engine enamel. So this is a GM blue. I wanted something a little bit closer to this blue, but that's more of a Ford blue, so I just went with this color because this is what they actually used to paint 305s. So you're asking, why would you paint it 305 colors? One of my buddies, I've got him sold on the fact that it's a 305. So he's gonna go for a ride one day, and hopefully here soon, and figure out this 305 ain't no slouch. So yeah, these have been roughed up and everything a little bit here, cleaned up rather. Deck's not it was not decked because it just didn't need it. They just cleaned it up for me. Motor mounts, I marked it with a D for the driver's side. Reused the hardware from the 305. Used it over here. Just painted it black with some high temperature paint. See there, brand new stainless hardware for the time cover. Just simply because those little washers, they're only one-time use. Once you crush them and they bite, you can't reuse them. So if you can't tell, these are just finger tight. Actually, they're not even tight. They're just threaded in a little bit, just so they're accounted for. So that's what I wanted to show you. My hand's a little bit dirty. Been working on stuff here. So there's the brand new oil pan that I just sprayed the other day. Didn't come out too great. Got a little bit low on paint. It was glossy through here, and as you come up around here, it kind of gets a little bit of a matte finish. That's okay. A little overspray on the motor mount. Ain't too worried about that. Do have to come in and redress these areas after the motor's put together. Oil filter adapter. I installed it. But yeah, this is. Actually, I'm gonna have to rotate it here to get some light on the subject. So there you go. There's your proof. It's a brand new oil pan, and same for as the time covered. All the hardware on the oil pan is in place, so we know where it is when it's time to install it. It did not get line honed. They said it was unnecessary. I do have to come in and address these dowel pins. These are actually the original dowel pins that were in here. This came out of a truck, old C10. Can't remember what year it was. I just got the block from one of my close buddies. Not really close, but just someone I know. Let's just not exaggerate there. don't really have too many real friends. So flex plate and water pump hardware and mounting brackets and everything. As you can tell here, still need to clean this bracket up, but it is in place, so I know where it goes and which way it goes and everything. I will not be repainting this repainting this at all, because it looks like it's in good condition. So this is the old water pump. Obviously, not going to reuse a water pump. It's a very, very, very inexpensive part. Yeah. So pistons, I'm going to be running a set of Speed Pro 30,000 over. I purchased them months ago, way before this block was ever sent to machine shop. Just because I didn't want to get back a block and pay for all the machine work and everything, and then get my pistons in, and then realize it was bored over or bored under. So I took one of the pistons down there and I said, hey, I need 30 over. And he said that he didn't need the piston, but he did use that. I don't know. He took it from me and gave it back to me, so I'm guessing he did use it. I did check the piston in there in the bore without the rings, and it is a good fit. There is some play, which there needs to be. So right here is where the Camaros, let's see if I can find it here. They use this setup here. So this is like this collects oil, and this is a sensor. So this just threads in with some thread sealer and gets dropped on the floor, but it goes in right there. As for, there's a old pan plastic on my foot. Air cleaner, Edelbrock high large element. It's not going to fit under the hood, but that'll be okay. Still need to get a water nut. This is a Edelbrock Performer EPS intake with a Edelbrock 750 on it. I guess I could show that. Heck, it is just a wing nut, right? Keep track of all my hardware here. So it's not a new carburetor. It was rebuilt. Still have to get the linkages and everything. And I'm also going to get a spring kit in case I do have to change the fuel ratios. The AFRs. I did actually have to clean the main throttle blades. They were a little bit on the rusty side on the bottom side. So I did have to clean them up a little bit, and I did coat them a little bit with just some thin oil, just a little bit there. New gasket and new hardware installed. New hardware here for the water neck. New gasket and thermostat will be installed. Of course, I'm going to be running a new oil pump and pickup. I will be running a factory setup for that, because it's basic. It's a basic rebuild with a little bit of performance. I'm building a driver, not a drag car. So you see here that you're probably asking yourself, why does he have the intake, carburetor, air filter, and everything kind of like assembled here on the floor? And that's just because so I know where all my hardware is. So instead of looking for time and cover hardware, oil pan hardware, all the hardware to hold the carburetor on, and all that stuff, here's where everything is. Water pump hardware, all new gaskets, everything. Of course, it's common sense. So, a little bit silly painting blue, but I was going to do orange, but I had a lot of this VHT, and this VHT is a lot better than this deeper color. That may be because of the paint where I purchased this duplicate color. I purchased from Advanced, and none of that stuff sits on the shelf. Bought this from Jerry's Speed Shop. It's a local speed shop. He's been there since 60s, and he still owns the place, runs the place. His stuff is very inexpensive. He hasn't it went up with his prices like most people do. So I like going there, supporting what he's doing. Of course, prices, the purchase cost does go up with time, so he does have to add, it does have to go up with that, but not as much as most places. So VHT, this paint here is probably $2 cheaper than this paint, but it is 200% better for my experiences. The Duplicolor, good brand, but I could not get a consistent coat out of it. It has a very satin finish. You get a little bit of oil on your fingers, like see how my hands are glossy, and you rub the paint. After you paint it with that Duplicolor, it will look completely different just from your hand touching it, because it's such a satin finish. It looks like trash. The VHT, on the other hand, you can barely tell where oil is and where oil isn't. So I'm going to reusing this flex plate that came off of the 305 Camaro, just because, just because it's going to work pretty well. We'll be putting it back on the way it came off. I don't remember off the top of my head if there's a certain way. I mean, I know there's an outside and inside, but that's not what I'm talking about. These indentions right here, these go that way. The torque converter bolts up to the back of it, so it bolts up to right there. And these Camaros only have 3 bolt holes for the torque converter. Weird, but whatever. The bolting a 700 R4 that has all new seals in it up to this motor. Did that. Actually, my dad did that a while back. Crank is an Eagle cast crank. That's a brand new Eagle cast crank. GMX rods that are in like perfect condition. I told you the pistons. The cam is going to be a comp cams. I'm not going too crazy with this motor, but I can upgrade the cam and the intake and heads at some point. I'm running 461 double humps on this motor. I've got a lot of money tied up in those, about $800 in the set, and that was with me reusing the valves that were in it, although they had previously already been machined, I believe. So those were ported and everything, so I think I'm going to get the best I can out of them once they go on, if they don't do what I want them to do. Local speed shop, Jerry's, he has a brand new set of aluminum heads ready to go, 64 chamber, 190 runners and everything ready to go. I can just go pick them up and bolt them right on with new head gasket and bolts. Take some weight off the front end of the car. Obviously, it's going to produce about twice the power as the 305 did, but for the same weight, actually. About the same weight, because the 305 HO motor for the 84 Camaro Z28 had a aluminum intake on it from the factory. So you're not really going to be, I'm adding this, it's not going to be much weight difference. Still going with all the same materials, iron block and everything, so we're not going to be looking at too much difference. We'll be running mechanical fuel pump, of course. Now if I do have, I'm going to be buying a brand new fuel pump, but if I have troubles out of it, we'll be going with a block off plate, taking that rod out of there, and I'll just go straight to electric pump. Like those little Holly pumps. I think Mr. Gasket sells the same thing, just rebranded, and you can actually mount that real low, and you can actually mount it in the front of your car. But I would actually probably mount it back there by the tank and put it, you know, very close to the bottom of the tank, or actually below it if I can, without it, you know, being in the way, of course. So, and that would just push the fuel straight up, and you wouldn't have to worry about that mechanical fuel pump. I know most people don't even run those these days, but simplicity, it's what came on it. So I'm gonna stick with it because it's reliable. I'm gonna be running Molly Cleveite double roller, timing set on it, of course. Hydraulic flat tappet Molly Cleveite lifters. Got a brand new set of push rods. Can't remember the length of them off the top of my head, but they're basic, very close to stock length, but they are in fact brand new. Let's see. There you go, brand new. So these are what will be in here. So as for the 305, here's the heads. These look very anemic compared to those double humps. Had some work done on them. So I don't know what to do with this thing. I might just build it and put it in another car, but there'll be so much stuff missing because I'm taking two cars, making one out of it, really. But yeah, I'm going to end the video there. We're already at freaking 17 minutes. So thanks for watching, y'all. I'll keep y'all updated on the build as it goes here, a little bit as I can. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, comment down below what you want to see next. Peace out, y'all.